Hello, Chargers. This is Coach Oliver once again. We are into our new episode of the Memorable Games of 2021, the 50th UAE National Day Rapid Chess Championship. This game is the last round of the National Rapid, and I was playing Grandmaster Igor Miladinovic of Serbia. He was a former World Junior Champion back in 1993, and also in 1994 he won a bronze medal in the Moscow Olympiad. Such a strong player. And here we go. Okay, in the game I was playing black. Igor went for d4. Queen pawn. Play knight f6. Went for bishop g5, the Trompovsky. He played the Trompovsky. e6. If he plays, for example, here e4, then it can transpose into some position of the French, right? Let's say I play d5, he will go e5, and then I will go h6, yes. And if let's say he plays bishop to e3, knight f d7. This one resembles a French position. All right, let's go back. So he played c3, c5, e3. Wow, central. With f4 coming up, this could be heading into a stone wall. Knight c6, knight e2, h6, bishop h4, and then d5. And I was right. He actually played the stone wall with f4. Okay, bishop to d6, knight gf3 with that bishop on d6. I have to break the wall. C takes d4. He cannot capture with the e pawn because this pawn on f4 is dead, which forces c takes d4. I played queen a5. I was threatening knight to e4 or knight g4 here. He played a3. Okay, if let's say I play knight e4, then he has b4. So knight g4, backward pawn on e3, target. He played queen e2. All right, now I was expecting a fighting game because Igor was 6.5 out of 8. I was on 7.5. I was leading the tournament going into the last round. So he's there for the fight. I was also there for the fight. And I like fighting chess. G5. I played G5. Okay, the point of G5 is that if let's say he takes on G5, I have H takes G5. If he captures with bishop takes G5, I have bishop G3. Check. This appear on the rook on H1. If he plays king to D1, then I have knight F2, right? And that will be winning for black. He also cannot take with the knight because I have rook takes H4. Queen, okay, bishop to G3, protecting F4. In the game, I took on F4, and I actually missed this retreat, Queen C7, yes, putting more pressure on F4. Okay, there is knight E5, but then again, he takes on F4, yeah? If he takes on F4 with the bishop, I have knight G takes E5. Oh, ho, ho, ho. If let's say he takes with the pawn on f4, I have knight takes d4. This is not a free knight, by the way, because I have knight c2 check, hitting the king, hitting the rook. My king is safe because the queen is protecting the important f7 square, which is the weakest point in the king's position. Okay, but then again, mistakes happen. I completely missed queen c7. I took an f4. Okay, the main point is to isolate that pawn on d4. That's also a target. Probably the reason why I took an f4, followed it up with queen to b6, hitting b2 and d4 at the same time, right? It's a double attack. b2, also in d4. But he has this nice intermediate move. I missed this, you know? After knight f6, then he has queen e3. Grandmasters are very resourceful. Okay, in the game I played knight h5. Okay, after queen e3, I played knight h5. Well, let's look at the pawn. Is this pawn on b2 free? That's a question. Yes. The problem with queen takes b2 is rook to b1. If I stay, for example, if let's say I put my queen on c2, it hits my queen with bishop d3. And if I play my queen on a2, he will just simply play bishop b5, and it's misplaced on a2. Yes. Bye-bye queen on a2. He can just simply castle, and then rook a1, rook b1, and I'll be dead. Yep. We can't just simply capture pieces or pawns. Yes. We have to calculate properly if there's danger behind it. Yep. It could be a poison pawn. Okay, so I played knight h5 and threatening knight g3 and also not allowing him to castle. He played bishop to d3, now knight g3. I want to delay his castling. With the king in the middle, at least I have a bit of a chance. My king is also in the middle. Expect a good fight. Okay, rook to g1, knight to e7. I'm gonna go to knight f5 or this knight. He played knight h4, hitting my knight on g3. Rook g8. Quite an interesting game, yeah, with a lot of imbalances here. He played king f2, connecting the rooks. Now he's threatening rook gc1, control of the only open file, and not allowing me to castle also on the queen side. I was going to castle here with bishop d7, and he stopped me. Yeah, stopping casting. I went for f5, okay, because I need a return square for my knight, because I don't like my knight on g3. It's under attack. I don't have a pawn on h4, by the way. He played b4, so knight e4 check. When I played knight e4, I was like, okay, maybe here black has a chance, yeah, with that pawn on e4, a fixed pass pawn on e4. Yeah. He played rook c5. I played queen d8. That's skewer on the knight. There's an X-ray on the knight on h4. g3, a5. I want to open up some lines for the rook. Takes, takes. He played rook ac1. Rook a4, attacking the isolated d4 pawn. He went for f5. This is pretty complicated. My king on e8 is just not safe. His king on f2, likewise. Yeah. So let's just play chess right here. I was going to take on f5 with this pawn, but I was worried about queen takes h6. I don't know what to play here. Okay, he has some threats of queen h5. So I didn't want that one. I captured an f5. Knight takes f5. I played queen f6. Maybe not the best move. Okay, rook c8. King f7. Bishop takes c8 loses. Yeah, it loses because rook takes c8, for example. If I play king f7 to protect the rook, he has rook c7. Yep. If I go back to f8, for example, then this queen takes h6. I'm losing two pieces here, two minor pieces for the rook. Yep. And the knights will be active later on. Okay, so that bishop on d7 is my king's protector. I keep a king to f7, I took on g8, king takes g8, rook c7, rook on the 7th rank, queen f5. And then opening the line here with bishop and queen on h3, forcing him to play g4. Queen to e6. If you count the pawns, I'm already one pawn up. This is the last round. I was the pawn up. And I was like, hoo. I could go for 8.5, get a trophy. Yeah, that's what I was thinking here. So then for knight b3. Rook takes a3, maybe not the best. Yeah, this. All right, very patient. b6 move could have been better, but we'll see. Rook takes a3 is of course tempting. Pin. Takes on b7, rook a2 check. King goes to g1, and here I play the queen on the wrong square, queen c6. The correct move could have been queen d6. With the queen takes with the pawn takes on d4, discovered attack with queen h2 and queen h1, a potential mate, yeah. Potential mate. And if let's say he plays queen g3 to protect the one, then bishop c8, he doesn't have rook b8. Now where is the rook going? Yes, the rook has no square. Can it go to b6? Can it go to b8? Only move for the rook is on b5 and the rook to b2, yeah. And I can simply play queen a3. I can go for, sorry, queen a6, yeah, or queen c6. I have rook b1. I also have queen f6. OMG, yeah. I played queen c6. He played knight c5. And I played d4. And by the way, bishop c8 here looks winning. Where is the rook going? If let's say he pins, the simple king move, right? If he captures the pawn on e5, queen c7, queen e5, the bishop is protecting these two squares, threatening mate again on h2. Yeah, but we were down to 20, less than 20 seconds here. Both of our clocks were down to 20 seconds here, so it's not easy to find really good moves. Okay, rook b8 check. Nice intermediate move. I played bishop e8. Queen takes g4. Rook c2. You play knight to b3. If I want a draw, I could just go back to a2. Yes, and you play knight c5, for example. But then again, I played this horrible, tragic, oh my god, move. Queen to d6. And that cost me the game. I completely missed it that he has, after rook takes e8, king f7, he says rook e5. I thought I was attacking the rook and h2. With rook e5, I was just shaking my head. And I was like, oh my god. Last round, I lost the game. Well, congratulations to Igor. He played a good fighting chess, but I had my chances. 2 years back, I actually won this National Day event. Last year, there was no tournament because of this pandemic. So we had a 1 year break. And when I had this extra pawn in the game, I was like, oh, maybe I could go for back to back. But things happen. Although in the end, I was still very, very happy because the one who won the tournament was a good friend of mine, a sister from another mother, Irene Sukandar of Indonesia. The first lady to ever win this National Day tournament in 50 years. And imagine a lady player, right? Winning over men. That's a pretty strong and pretty good achievement. Okay, that was my story of 2021. I hope you like our lessons for this year, and in the coming year, for the new year, we'll have a different series. And please follow us on Facebook with our page Charge Max Chess, and also on YouTube. And I will see you next year. Thank you and goodbye.